Hello, friends! Are you ready for another fairy tale? Then sit down and listen attentively to this story from Zambia. Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast jungle, there lived a ferocious lion whose appetite was never satisfied. Day or night, he was always hungry, and his roars echoed through the trees as he searched for his next meal. One day, the lion's hunger led him to a small cottage deep within the forest. As he approached cautiously, he heard the sound of a tiny voice singing inside. Curious and somewhat amused, the lion decided to investigate. He pushed open the door and was surprised to find a little hare calmly spinning away on a little stool inside the hut. The lion, taken aback by this unexpected sight, couldn't help but burst into laughter. He found it utterly ridiculous that a tiny hare could be so carefree while he, a mighty lion, was struggling with his insatiable hunger. But the lion's amusement didn't last long. His stomach growled, reminding him of his never-ending craving for food, and his eyes fell on the hare, which suddenly looked like a delicious dinner. The lion swiftly pounced on the unsuspecting hare, who panicked and pleaded for his life. "Please spare me, oh, great lion," the hare cried. "I am just a humble servant of the forest. If you let me go, I promise I will bring you even more delicious prey than I am." The lion wasn't convinced. His hunger was overpowering any thoughts of mercy. "Don't try to fool me, little hare," the lion said, his voice dripping with hunger. "I won't hesitate to eat you right now." The hare, desperate to save himself, quickly came up with a plan. "Oh, great lion," he said, feigning fear, "you wouldn't want to eat such a skinny, bony hare, would you? I may not be very tasty, but I know a place where you can feast on the most succulent wild boar. In fact, there is a whole herd of fattened up boars just waiting for you there." The lion's ears perked up at the mention of a wild boar. The thought of a juicy, savory meal made his mouth water. "Lead the way, little hare," the lion said, his tone softening slightly. "Show me where I can find these wild boars, and I might just consider sparing your life." The hare, trying to appear helpful, suggested they go through the forest. Instead of taking the long route, the lion agreed, thinking it would be quicker and lead them straight to the promised feast. However, after walking for what seemed like hours, they had only come across a few birds and some small rodents, nothing that could satisfy the lion's ravenous hunger. The hare, sensing the lion's growing impatience and irritation, casually pointed his nose towards a bush and said, "Look, over there, isn't that the most magnificent wild boar you have ever seen?" The lion strained his eyes to see what the hare had found, and indeed spotted what looked like a large shape hiding in the bushes. But as soon as the lion started moving towards it, the hare quickly shouted, "Wait, great lion, I forgot to warn you. That boar is very cunning and vicious. It is not an ordinary animal. No, no, my dear lion. That is the infamous man-eater boar, the terror of these woods. He has sharp tusks and powerful hooves, and he won't hesitate to attack anyone who comes near him." The lion, intrigued and slightly apprehensive, stopped in his tracks. He knew the reputation of the man-eating boar and was unsure if he wanted to risk a confrontation. Seeing his chance, the hare continued, Why don't we try to catch a few rabbits instead? They are much easier to catch and will still make for a lovely meal." The lion considered this idea and eventually agreed. Hunting smaller prey would be much less troublesome and would surely satisfy his hunger. And so they set off again. This time was the lion keeping a sharp eye out for any quick-moving rabbits. After a while, the lion spotted a group of rabbits hopping around and gave chase. But those rabbits were quick and agile and managed to evade his grasp. The lion, frustrated and famished, started to feel desperate. As they continued their fruitless hunt, the hare casually mentioned, "You know, there's an old baobab tree on the edge of the forest. Beneath its branches, you can find all sorts of delicious creatures, birds, squirrels, mice, and sometimes even mongooses. It's like a buffet just waiting to be discovered." The lion's spirits lifted at the thought of a potential feast. The old baobab tree was known to be a haven for various animals. "Lead the way, little hare," the lion said, his voice regaining some of its earlier authority. "I hope this old tree does not disappoint." When they reached the baobab tree, the lion began roaring loudly, hoping to scare out as much prey as possible. But instead of the expected cacophony of frightened animals, he heard a single, clear voice respond. My, what's all this commotion about?" The lion turned to see the source of the voice, and there perched on a low-hanging branch was a clever hare from the beginning of the story. The hare looked at the lion with amusement and said, "Is it the same hungry lion who wants to eat me? Please do not tell me you have been chasing your own tail all this time. You must be out of your mind." The lion, embarrassed and furious, began to growl menacingly, baring his sharp fangs. But the hare remained calm and continued to mock him. "I see you are still as hungry as ever. Perhaps you should try eating something smaller, like a mouse." "Ha! Ha! You are a big, bad lion, and you cannot even catch a little mouse." The lion, unable to bear the humiliation any longer, pounced on the hare, who nimbly jumped out of the way just before the lion's sharp claws could grab him. The hare mocked him further. "Is that all you got, lion? I am faster than you, stronger than you, and smarter than you. I am the king of the forest, and you are nothing but a big, scared kitty cat." The lion, enraged by the hare's taunts, gave chase, but no matter how fast he ran, the hare was always just out of his reach. Finally, exhausted and humiliated, the lion collapsed under the shade of the baobab tree. The hare, panting slightly from his exertions, sat on the lion's back and said, "I give up. You may eat me if you can catch me." With that, he disappeared into a burrow he had dug under the tree. The lion, realizing the futility of his efforts, lay down and sighed. He was defeated, not by strength, but by wit. And as the sun set over the forest, he was left with nothing but his hunger and his pride, still hungry, still thirsty for power and food, but now a little wiser about the limits of his strength and the power of intelligence. And that is the story, children. Do you see how important it is to be clever and quick-witted? Even when you are up against someone much bigger and stronger than you are, intelligence can be your greatest asset. And now it is time to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this Zambian fairy tale. Remember, no matter what challenges you face, never underestimate the power of your own mind. Be clever, be quick-witted, and you will find a way to overcome any obstacle. Until next time, stay curious, stay imaginative, and above all, stay kind. If you like this story, please subscribe, my friends.